Hello guys, welcome to Bhavna's Online Academy. So in this video we are going to see all the concepts of ESOP, that is Employee Stock Option Plan chapter. So this chapter is going to come in two parts. In the first part we are going to read all the concepts, and then in the second part we are going to see all the sums, that is illustrations of ICAI, and also if possible practicals problem from it. So this is the part 1 of the video and we are going to cover the concepts in it. So let's start with the video, guys. So what is employee stock option plan? So see, so there is a employee who works in the organization. Okay, so there may be many employees who are working in the organization. Organization like Reliance and all, there are more than 5 lakh employees. Okay, so what happens when you work in companies is that not every employee feels a sense of attachment. Not every employee feels a sense of attachment with the company. Okay, so what these companies do to make these employees feel attached with them is that they issue a lot of extra things, like they give this best employee award, they give them free trips, and then also they would keep on encouraging them, feel like they have achieved something for the company, which means they are achieving that in their professional lives too. They will try to make their careers so attached with the company that they make sure that the human resource that is there, that the employee is there, is always attached with the company and will want to work for the company. So what happens when this company does not have a sense of attachment with the company? He will only work for salary, and what he is given, okay, whatever his job requirements are, he'll only work for that. He'll not work for that extra push to make the company earn more. Okay, in such case the company is losing out on something. So they always want their employee to feel that sense of attachment, so they always push their barriers and work more for the company. So employee stock option plan is just one of those kind, okay, one of those kinds of things that makes the employee feels attached to the company. So what the company does that is, they so if suppose a company is there and they have a share, okay, suppose they have a share in their company, definitely they have, suppose it's selling in the market for 20 rupees, what they will do is the same share of 20 rupees, if they sell it to employee, that's going to be of no use. The employee rather can buy it directly from the market itself, right, at the same cost, 20 rupees. So what the company does is that they give the same share at 15 rupees to the employee. They give the same share to 15 rupees to the employee. So in such case, what happens, the employee somewhere feels that he is the owner of the company, and if he is owner of the company, whatever the company, I mean whatever profits the company is going to earn, definitely he is going to feel that he was one of the persons who has contributed to the profits, and in return he is also getting the profits and not only the salary. Okay, so this is the logic behind issuing ESOP. So what happens is that 15 rupees, at 15 rupees, the same share the company will give to its employee. Okay, so what happens to the remaining 5 rupees? So what happens to the remaining 5 rupees? Because if the company sold the same share to the market, he would have got, the company would have got 20 rupees, but now since it is selling to the employee, it's getting only 15 rupees. So what is that 5 rupees? That 5 rupees is a form of expense to the company. I won't exactly use the word loss, I would rather use the word expense to the company. Why do you think it is not a loss and expense to the company? Anyone who could answer me why you think it is not a loss and expense to the company? Okay, just keep answering. I'll just tell you, I'll start explaining other concept. Okay, so see, what is the expense? So expense can be, uh, is a expense and loss. Okay, what would be the exact difference between expense and loss is that expense is something where you invest in something and you get some other kind of returns from it. Loss is also where you spend money but you get no returns out of it. For example, you are walking on a road and you have your purse with you on in your pocket. Okay, in that purse you have suppose 40,000 rupees. Okay, in that purse, suppose you have 40,000 rupees. If this purse or if this 40,000 rupees, if it falls down in the road, if it falls down in the road or someone pickpockets and takes away your 40,000 rupees, then this 40,000 rupees is a loss to you because you have not got anything in return. Whereas if you do a kind of expense, suppose you take this 40,000 and get yourself a new phone. If you get yourself a new phone, then in such case what will happen, in such case it's like you have given that 40,000 to someone else only, it's still not with you, but in return you have got something to it. So that is what is expense and the difference, actual difference between loss and an expense. Okay, somebody has answered, I'll go through that and come back. Loss means you wouldn't get anything back, but here he's gonna give his employees some late conditions along with this. So it's not a loss, it's an expense. Very good, Swati. Perfect answer. Yes. Okay. So I'll explain you. Okay. So why the company says that this is an expense, this 5 rupees what they are incurring is actually an expense, is because see what the company is going to do is the company is going to give the employee a few conditions. The company is going to give the employee a few conditions. Okay, if the company, if the employee fulfills these conditions, in such case only he'll get the ESOP option. Okay, in such case only the company will get, I mean the employee will get the option of ESOP. Okay, so what are these conditions? These conditions are actually known as vesting conditions. These conditions are known as vesting conditions. Okay, so the vesting conditions may be of two types. What happened? One second. Okay, yes. Okay. So these vesting conditions can actually be of two types. One is performance based. One is performance based vesting conditions and the other one is actually service based vesting conditions. Okay. So what's the difference between performance based and service based is that in performance based vesting conditions, what they will tell you is, see, if you help the company to increase the sale of 10%, or increase the profits by 20%, then in such case, we will give you the option of ESOP. So in such case, here what happens, here also the company is doing the expense, but in return, it's getting a 10% increase in sales or a 20% increase in its profit. Okay, that's why it's not a loss and it's an expense. The same way, the other vesting condition might be that service-based vesting condition. That means the company will tell the employee that, see, for at least for 3 years, if you continuously work in the company, or for 5 years, if you continuously work in the company, we will give you this ESOP option. Okay, there may be another condition like this. So what happens in this 3 years case is that, see, the employee turnover might reduce. The employee turnover might reduce. What is employee turnover? Employee turnover means if a company leaves the company, okay, that is known as an employee turnover. Okay, how many times the employee is recruited and how many times he leaves. Okay, so employee turnover in the company will reduce gradually. Okay, because if he works for 3 years, at the end he is going to get some extra benefit also. So in such case also it is not a loss and it's an expense. Okay, so these are the vesting conditions and I've given you a little bit hint on what the whole chapter is about. I hope it is clear. So if there is any doubt until this, you can ask me, or if it is clear, let me know it's clear. And I hope I'm not going fast. Is the speed okay or should I slow down? Is the speed okay? Is everything clear? Yeah, okay, perfect. So I just want everybody to answer so I can know, you all are still in the lecture and are not sleeping in, in the morning. Okay, fine. So what we are going to see is, first we are going to start with some important, oh God, oh, wait. Yeah. So first we are going to start by seeing some important terms that needs to be remembered. Okay. So I'm just only going to read out a few terms so you know, okay, these terms will help you solving the sums. Okay. Okay. So first term is grant. So what is grant? Grant means, see, if there is an angel coming to you and giving you some grant or a wish, that is what is known as a grant. Okay. So it is like a wish. Okay, so what is grant means? So here for employee, what is the grant or the wish? If they receive the employee stock option, if they are given the wish of employee stock option plan, then it's like a grant to them. Okay, so it means issue of options to the employees under ESOS. ESOS and ESOP are almost the same thing. It's employee stock option scheme. ESOP is employee stock option plan. Okay, so this is what is a grant is. If the company gives the employee that, see, this is an option we are giving you, this ESOP option we are giving it to you, then in such case it's known as grant. Okay, so here see, they have not told that they are going to definitely give ESOPs to the employee if they fulfill the condition. They tell you that even though you fulfill all the condition, all the vesting conditions, if you fulfill, it's still an option to you. What they are saying here, it's still an option to you. That means even though I worked in the firm for 3 years, at the end of 3 years, when they give this ESOP option to me, it's still an option only. Okay, it's in my hand whether I want to exercise this option or whether I don't want to exercise this option. Because see, at the end of 3 years, I maybe not have the money to even spend 15 rupees for the share. Okay, so there may be any case due to which he doesn't want to exercise the option at all. Okay, fine. So that is grant. Next is vesting conditions. I've already told you what is vesting conditions. The conditions that must be satisfied, okay, for the employee to become entitled to receive the cash or surplus pursuant to an employee based share based payment plan. Okay, so these are the conditions that if the employee fulfills, he will be given the option of ESOP. Okay, next is vesting period. So what is vesting period? It is a time period between the grant date. What is the grant date? The grant date is the date at which the employee was given the option of ESOP. Okay, and the date on which all specified vesting conditions are fulfilled. Okay, on, yeah, are all satisfied. That means this is nothing but your vesting date. That means in this date, you know, you can exercise your option if you want. In this date, you can decide whether you want to exercise this option, and you can also exercise the option. So the gap between your grant date is the date in which the employee is given the option of ESOP, and end of vesting and end of vesting period, if we say end of vesting period, if you do, or on the date when all the vesting conditions are fulfilled. So there is a time period, right? This time period we will call it as vesting period. This time period we'll call it as vesting period. So in the case of service based ESOP, our vesting period will be how many years? Can someone tell how many years will be our vesting period? I gave you an option of service based, right? Please tell me. Okay, how many years will be our vesting period? 3 years. Very good. Very good, Swati. 3 years. Okay. Yes. So then next is option. Why is anyone else not answering? Is there any confusion with what the vesting period is? Or are you guys don't want to answer at all? See, when I said there was an option here, service based option of 3 years, that only if you work for 3 years, you will get this ESOP plan. That is your vesting period. That means for 3 years, you will have to wait till you complete your employment for 3 years. And after, at the end of 3 years only, you will be able to get the ESOP, the option of ESOP. That's when all your vesting conditions will be fulfilled. So now tell me, what is the vesting period? I want everybody to answer. 3 years, yes. So why is this answer not coming from the beginning? The question was asked to everybody, right? Okay, fine, no issues. From next question that I answer, please make sure, I ask, please make sure that that all of you answer. I've already told you what is an option. Okay, so it is depending on the employee, he can, it's on him whether he wants to use this option or not. Okay, so what is exercise period then? Okay, Bhavna, you told us that there is a grant date. You told, okay, I'll just write here. Okay, so you told us that there was a grant date, then you told that there was a vesting period, then you told that at the end of vesting period, you will fulfill all the vesting conditions, and here you will get the option. Okay, so now here the question is, see, I have completed 3 years time period. Okay, by 31st March 2020, I have completed. Suppose this is 31st March 2020. By 31st March 2020, I have completed all my conditions of vesting. Okay. So now here the question is, for how many days will I have the option, or for how many days will I have the time to think whether I want to use this option or not? So here they are telling you that it will differ from company to company. Here they will give you another period which will be called as your exercise period. This will be known as your exercise period. So in this exercise period, you will have the time to think and decide whether you want to go for this option or not. In this time period, you will have the time to think whether you want to use this option or not. What is the option? The company is going to give you shares at a lower rate. Okay, that's the option. You can think in this exercise period and tell them. Within the end of exercise period, if you don't use the option, then automatically the option will get lapsed. Lapsed means after that you cannot use the option, or you choose to not use the option. Okay, exercise period. So what is next exercise price? Exercise price means actually the price at which you can buy the shares. So can you please tell me what is the exercise price? So in my example, I told you that there was 20 rupees at which the share was being sold in the market. For 15 rupees, the company was going to give it to you, and 5 rupees was their expense. So what is the exercise price here? Very good, very good. So 15 rupees is your exercise price. Exercise price means the price which is going to be payable by the employee for exercising the option. Very good. Okay. So grant date also I have already said. What is grant date? Next is intrinsic value. So what is intrinsic value? I'll tell you. Wait. Wait. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Fine. So what is intrinsic value? See, what happens is that intrinsic value is nothing but that 5 rupees which I told you is the intrinsic value. What is intrinsic value? Intrinsic value is the 5 rupees which I said. So what happens is that, see, I told you that in the marketplace, the market value of the share was 15 rupees. Your exercise value was how much? 15 rupees. So what is the expense that you are going to incur? I told you, I mean, the company is going to incur, it is 5 rupees. This 5 rupees is only known as intrinsic value. This 5 rupees is only known as intrinsic value. Okay, there are other terms which are used for this. It is known as intrinsic value, or it is also known as discount. Okay, and then as I told you, it is also known as expense. Then it is also known as fair value of option. Fair value of option. Okay, so these are the different names that are given for this 5 rupees. Please make sure you note this down. Intrinsic value, discount, or fair value of option. Usually in the question, you will see this term also. You will see this term also. Discount also, I think, I am not sure if it's there in the question, but discount is the term that we all are going to use while we are solving the sum. Okay. Okay, so I hope until this it is clear. Okay. So intrinsic value is the excess of market price over the exercise price. That is 5 rupees is your intrinsic value. Next, there is a term known as fair value. Okay. So you will all have a question. Then what is the difference between market value and fair value? Because I just told you that the market value of share is 20 rupees. So is there any, okay, you guys just need to answer, is there a difference between market value and fair value? Just tell me if there is any difference between market value and fair value. In front, I know there is a definition that's going on. But generally, do you think, or you know what exactly is the difference between market value or fair value? So usually what happens in ESOP is that, so in the question, you will also be given fair value sometimes, and also you'll be given market value sometimes. If you are given fair value only in the question, fair value only, in such case, you can do fair value minus exercise value and you can get your intrinsic value. No, if in the question only market value is given, then in such case, you can take market value, you can do minus exercise price, and then you will get your intrinsic value. What if in the question, both the fair value and market value are given. What will you do in such case? Can someone answer me? Until you answer, I'll first tell you what is the difference between fair value and market value. Okay. See, first you all know what is market value. Someone unmuted themselves. Just give me a second. Yes. Please make sure you are muted. Okay. So please tell me which option will you choose? If fair value or market value is given in the question, which one you will choose? Someone has told me fair value, another person has told me market value. Okay, just keep on answering. I want all the people to answer. Just answer something. Let's see if you get it right or wrong. Okay. So market value. So what is market value? Market value is the price of the asset or price of the share in the marketplace. So in the current market, whatever is the price, okay, is known as market value. Suppose you go and suppose you get, what do you say? Okay, suppose you go to Zara. Okay, when you go to Zara and you get a dress, suppose the dress in the market currently is suppose 7,000 rupees. Okay, suppose the dress in the market is 7,000 rupees. Okay, and according to you, you think that this dress is only worth 2,000 rupees. So here what happens is that, so in the marketplace, the value of the dress is 7,000 rupees. What do you think the worth of this dress? What do you think? The worth of the dress is only 2,000 rupees. Then in such case, this 2,000 will be known as the fair value and the 7,000 will be known as the market value. I hope the difference between fair value and market value is correct to us. I mean, clear to you. So the fair value is a broad measure, okay, of an asset's worth, and it is not same as the market value, definitely. Okay, it is just the estimated worth of company's assets and liabilities. How much you think it is worth is what is known as fair value, whereas the price, what it prevails in the market, is known as market value. Okay, I'll just go through the answers what you have given. Okay, market. Wait. Okay, wait. I'll just scroll through it properly. It's going up and down. So fair value, market value, market value, market value, market value, whichever is less. Market value. What is WEL? I'm not sure what's the full form. Okay. So here the answer is, like always, 90% of you or 99% of you are all wrong. Like it always happens with us in the exam, right? All of you are wrong. So if given in the question whether you have to go with fair value or market value, you will only have to go with fair value as your first priority. Fair value must be your first priority always, and your second priority will be market value. Okay, and always remember, in the question they'll give you two terms. One is fair value of share and the other is fair value of option. Fair value of share, if it is given the question, you will do fair value of share minus minus exercise price, and you will get intrinsic value. If directly they have given fair value of option, that means they have directly given you the intrinsic value itself. So always see, there are 2 to 3 questions where they have given you like this. Okay, so make sure you're keen, okay, whether it is fair value of share or whether it is fair value of option. Okay, so those were all the terms that I wanted to tell you. So are all the concepts clear? We'll just see what the accounting entries are. I have explained you all the concepts. So first I started with by explaining all the general terms. Okay, then I told you that there are two kinds of vesting condition. One is performance based and the other one is service based. Okay, and this one I'll just come back. Then I told you that you can either do market value minus exercise price and get intrinsic value, or you can do fair value of share minus exercise price and you will get fair value of option. So always make sure whether it is given fair value of option directly or whether it is given fair value of share in the question. Okay. Yes. So now we have to see how we are going to calculate this expense. Okay, so what happens is that, see, the vesting period, as I told you in the question, it may be either more than 1 year or the vesting period might be less than 1 year. The vesting period might be either more than 1 year or less than 1 year in the question. So what will you do in such case? Okay, Suppose my expense, okay. Suppose what has happened is I have 100 employees in my company, and to all those 100 employees, for each employee I'm going to give 50 options. Okay, to all those 100 employees I'm going to give to all those 100 employees, to each employees I'm going to give 50 shares each. Okay, so how many total options do we have? How many total options do we have here? So it will be 100 into 50, which is 5,000 options. So here there are 5,000 options. That means a employee, it is on the employee whether he wants to take each option or not. So see, there are 100 employees, each employee has 50 options. Okay, so in these 50 options, it depends on him how much he wants to exercise or how much he doesn't want to exercise. So here what happens, each share becomes each option. So each share becomes each option, because in each share he has the option whether he wants to, exercise it or not. So for 100 employees means there will be 5,000 options each. There will be 5,000 options each. Okay. 5,000 options, not each. Okay. So there are 5,000 options. So now what happens here is that, as I told you, the market value of the share is 20 rupees, the exercise price is 15 rupees, and the intrinsic value in such case, what will be the intrinsic value? The intrinsic value will be 5 rupees. Okay. So what is the total expense for the company? Can someone tell me what is the total expense for the company? Can someone answer? I'll wait for a minute. Can you please answer what will be the total expense for the company? Total expense. Each share expense is 5 rupees. What is the total expense of the company? Very good. A few have answered. I'll still wait for those others to answer. Total expense to the company. For each share, if the expense is 5 rupees, what will be the total expense? Very good. Everybody has answered it right. So it will be 5,000 options into 5 rupees. That means 25,000 rupees will be the total expense for the company. 25,000 rupees will be the total expense to the company. Very good. Suppose, okay, so what happens is this 25,000 is actually your expense for making the employee work for 3 years in your firm. Right, for making the employee work 3 years in your firm. So what you will do is this 25,000 rupees of expense, you will distribute over the life of 3 years. You are going to distribute it over the life of 3 years. Okay, so this is what we are going to do in this chapter. Okay, so first I'll tell you what is this expense called as. This expense is called as employee compensation. Ignore the handwriting. Okay, employee compensation expense. What is this 25,000 rupees known as? Employee. For so much time we were only calling it expense, but what is its correct name? It is employee compensation expense, this 25,000 rupees. So what you will do is, see, actually, why do we find out this 25? Okay, first now I'll tell you the concepts first and then we'll go to that. So this employee compensation expense, as I told you, will be distributed over the life or over the vesting period. That will be, suppose in this example, suppose it is 3 years. So here, see, you have the option. Here, see, I have given you the formula. For each year, here this formula is for each year how much you have to record. That means in year 1 how much will you record, in year 2 how much will you record, and in year 3 how much are you going to record. Okay, so in each year you will have to record this employee compensation expense, and after the end of 3rd year, in the 4th year, if suppose 1 year you are given as exercise period, that means in the 4th year you will put pass the journal entries for whoever has exercised the option, or if anybody has lapsed the option, or whatever the case may be. But for the first 3 years you will have to pass the journal entries for this employee compensation expense. So in this exam they can also tell you to find out in each year what is the employee compensation expense, or they can also tell you that for each year, find out the employee compensation expense and also give the journal entries. Okay, so these are the two kinds of questions that may come in relation to employee compensation expense. So while I am going to read out this chapter, I'm going to read it as ECE, employee compensation expense. So this is the formula by how you find out each year's employee compensation expense. Suppose we'll take for year 1. Year 1, first you have to do option outstanding. See, first I'll explain you the logic of this. The logic is very simple. 25,000 is your total expense. You have to divide it over 3 years. So for first year, how much will be the expense? So it will be 1 by 3. That means 25,000 for 3 years, how much it will be into 25,000 into 1 by 3 if you do. What is the answer? Can someone tell me what is the answer? 25,000 into... Okay, someone has already told me the answer is 8,333. So 8,333 is your first year expense. So this 8,333 is what you have to record in your first year. Okay, now can someone tell me how much you have to record in your second year? How much you have to record in your second year? So how much it will be? 25,000 into... You guys tell me the answer. For second year, how much will you record? Same. Someone has told me same. Others same. Why same? Isn't it 25,000 into 2 by 3 for second year? So if we do 25,000 into 2 by 3, the answer is actually 16,667. Someone has told me 4,167. Others? We should deduct the first year expense. Okay, very good. See, since in the 16,667, you already have the first year's expense also included, but because here you are doing 2 by 3, right? That means the first year expense is also included in this. That means this first year 8,333 you have already recorded. You don't need to record it again in the second year. So in such case, what you will do is you will do 16,667 minus the first year expense, that is 8,333. So in such case, you will get your answer for the second year, which is 8,333. Okay. So this is your second year answer. Now I think easily everybody will be able to answer for the third year. So third year, what is the answer? So it will be 25,000 into 3 by 3. So here in denominator, what I am writing in denominator, I am writing whatever the total vesting period is. Total vesting period is what I'm writing in the denominator. Okay, in all the options you can see by 3 by 3. In the top, what I'm writing is how many years have been completed. How many years are completed? How many years are completed? That's what I'm writing in the numerator. In first year, 1 year was completed, so I wrote 1. In second year, 2 years were completed, so I wrote 2. In third year, 3 years are completed, so I wrote 3. So only one person has answered me the third year expense. What will be the third year expense? So first we shall do 25,000 into 3 by 3. It is going to be 25,000 only. Right. From this you have recorded 8,333 and again 8,333 in your second year. That means totally you have already recorded. Sorry, it must be 4 here if I'm not wrong. Am I correct? Yes. Okay. So in such case, you have already recorded 16,667. The remaining amount you have to record. It will be 25,000 minus 16,667, which is 8,333. Okay, this will be a third year expense. Everybody has answered it correctly. Very good. Yes. So this will be a third year expense. So this is how you are going to find out your employee compensation expense. Okay. So it will be options which are outstanding. Options outstanding was how much? 25,000 multiplied by discount. Discount is nothing but your, this is not 25,000. Sorry, what? How many were the options actually? Here we saw it. So sorry, there are 5,000 options. So there were 5,000 options. So 5,000 options we did multiplied by intrinsic value of 5 rupees. So options outstanding were 5,000. discount is nothing but your intrinsic value, which is 5 rupees. So if we multiplied these both, we got 25,000 rupees. And then we did 25,000 into 1 by 3 or 2 by 3 or 3 by 3, which is nothing but period completed dividing by vesting period. And then from which, to find each year expense, you deducted expense of period which is already recognized. If there is any already recognized expense, you deducted it from the expense that came by using this formula. Okay, so this is how you are going to find out each year employee compensation expenses. Everything clear till now? I think we only have journal entries and few other important points to cover. Is everything clear? Can I get a few answers? I'll just have water until that. Any doubts, you can directly ask me now. I'll clear it now and then move on to other concepts. Okay, perfect. So see, so whenever you're calculating this option outstanding, I already told you how you have to calculate your option. It will be nothing but number of employees into number of shares for each employee, right? Like how we did 100 employees. One second. Okay. So what we did number of employees, which was 100 employees, into number of shares for each employees, which were 50 shares. So only when we did this, we got options which were 5,000. Then again we did multiplied by discount and we got 25,000. Okay. So here in question, what may happen is that sometimes here you may get a little bit confusion on number of employees. So what is the confusion that you can get in number of employees is that, see, the company will tell that 100 employees is what we expected will exercise this option for 3 years, or will be through us with 3 years. Okay, so 100 employees is what we expected and gave them the option. This is your estimate on first year. In second year, what happens is that 3 years was your service condition, right? The 3 years the employee has to work for the company, then only you'll get this ESOP. What happens is in the second year, by the first year end, okay, or in the second year, already 5 employees have left. So in second year, for how many employees will you calculate the employee compensation expense? Will you again calculate it for 100 employees, or will you calculate for 5 employees, or will you calculate for 95 employees? Very good. You have to calculate the employee compensation expense for 95 employees only. That means in such case, what will happen? You will not do 100 into 50 shares. You will do 95 into 50 shares. How much is 95 into 50? It is 4,750. So here for second year, when you are calculating, you will not write 5,000. You will write 4,750. Okay. So this is, if anybody has doubt, I will explain you the whole concept. Okay. You can let me know. Like did you understand how here 4,750 came? Just tell me that. Okay. And suppose in the third year, again 10 employees leave. In third year, for how many employees will you calculate ECE? For how many for how many employees will you calculate ECE? 85 employees. Very good. Okay. And then finally what happens is, in the exercise period of fourth year, only 70 employees exercise their options. Only 70 employees exercise their option. So what about the remaining 15 employees? We'll see it in the later part when I explain you the concepts. Okay, when I explain, this will be known as lapsed options. So how you have to record this, what you have to do in such case, everything. Now when we are going to see the journal entries, I'll explain it to you. I hope all the concepts till now are clear. I have already covered major concepts. Okay, now if you see journal entries, each and every question you will be able to answer. Okay, so what you do is, just give me a second. Let's take this off. Okay, yes. So now we are going to start with journal entry as the final concept of this ESOP. Okay. So journal entry is what happens here is that, see, they tell you that there is over the vesting period. So first I told you, see, from grant date till you satisfy all the conditions, it will be known as vesting period. after which you will be given a certain amount of time till which you can use the option. Depends on you whether you want to use the option or not, which will be known as the exercise period. So through these vesting periods, you will have to pass a few journal entries, and after the vesting period is open, through your exercise period, you have to pass another set of journal entries. So, through this vesting period, what journal entries you have to pass is what we are going to see now. So, there are two journal entries that you have to pass through your vesting period. Okay. So, the first entry, the first entry is over the vesting period. Okay, so I hope you are making notes of all these concepts and all these small points which I'm telling you here and there, because later on when you sit to study on your own, you need not even see the sums. Even if you read all these points and go to the exam itself, you will be able to solve all the sums. Last minute exam preparation notes, always keep in mind that tomorrow is your exam. In such case, what kind of notes will you prepare? Okay, and prepare accordingly. Okay. So over a few might have just now realized that I have been sitting with pen and paper, but I have not noted down even a single point. I don't know what you guys are going to do. Okay, from now at least start noting down the journal entries, because while doing the sum, you cannot sit down and, I will not show you these notes. So if you don't have notes already, make these notes. Okay. So over the vesting period, the first entry that you have to do is employee compensation expense account debit. Okay, employee compensation expense account debit to employee stock option outstanding. So how much is the expense for the first year? 8,333. What you will do is, so it is actually expense to you, as I already told. So this expense, what you will do is, in the year end, you will transfer it to P&L account. In the year end, you will transfer it to P&L account. Okay, so what you will, okay, so this employee compensation expense, okay. So here you have something known as employee stock option outstanding, employee stock option outstanding. So this is nothing, but you can say this is like, what do you say? This is like some kind of a liability. Okay, this is some kind of a liability that you're creating over the years, and when the vesting period is over and when the exercise period is there and when you use the options, actually you will use these liabilities, okay, to set off the accounts. I'll show you how. Okay, so every year you have to transfer this 8,333 to your employee stock option outstanding account also. Okay, so these are the two accounts: employee compensation account, expense account debit to employee stock option outstanding, and then this employee compensation expense, you will transfer it to P&L account because it is an expense. Okay, so after the vesting period, so through all these 3 years, you have to through all the 3 years you have to pass these two entries every single year. Okay. Next is, after the vesting period is over, after this vesting period is over, in the exercise period, what are the entries that you will pass? So what might happen in the exercise period is that either the employee will exercise the option or the employee will not exercise the option. That means the option will lapse. Either he will exercise or he will not exercise. So what will happen if he exercises the option, and what will happen if the option is lapsed is what we are going to see. Okay. Suppose if the employee exercises this option, what you have to do is, see, how many options? We'll take the example of 5,000 options itself. Okay. Just give me a second. We'll take the example of 5,000 options itself, which we were having from the start. What were the other details? 20 rupees was market value, exercise price 15 rupees, 5 rupees ECE. Okay. Yes. So first what will happen is, you have to do bank account debit. Bank account debit means, see, the employees, if they want to exercise the option, they will give you 15 rupees, right? The employees, if they want to exercise the option, they will give you 15 rupees, correct? Correct or not? Yes. So that is what will come to your bank. So suppose what we will assume here is, all the employees are exercising all the options. So all the 5,000 options are exercised. Okay, suppose we'll have that in mind and we'll do this entry. So it will be options, which is 5,000 options you will receive. Wait. So for 5,000 options, you will receive 15 rupees. So that is what is going to come in your bank, 15 rupees. Next is ESO outstanding. ESO outstanding, how much would you have transferred to this ESO outstanding amount? 5,000 into how much money would you have transferred here? Can someone tell me what will be the each share value or each option value? Total is 25,000. Very good. But what is the each, the intrinsic value or discount value? Very good. 5 rupees. So it will be option exercised into discount value. Very good. So that is what you will transfer in your ESO outstanding. Then next you will have two share capital. Okay, here I didn't tell you what is the face value. Face value of share is suppose 10 rupees. And in the market it was selling for 20 rupees. That means what is the share capital amount? Can someone tell me? It will be 5,000 into 10 rupees. Correct or not? Yes, so that is what you will write, 2 share capital and then 2 securities premium. 2 securities premium, usually it is a balancing figure. Okay, so this will be nothing but 5,000 into 15 is 75. Oh God, is 75,000 and 25,000 is your ESO outstanding. So totally here the total value you have got 1 lakh. In that your actual face value of share is only 50,000. Then the remaining 50,000 rupees will be your premium. Then the remaining 50,000 rupees will be your premium. If you don't want to do like this, you can also do market value minus face value. Market value minus face value will be your premium, correct? The extra amount that you are paying to get the share. Above face value, how much ever you are paying extra to get the share, that will be your premium. So if your market value is 20 rupees, then 10 rupees you're in the market, they're paying extra to get the share. So 10 rupees will be the premium into options exercised. 5,000 into 10 will be your securities premium. Usually you can find it out as a balancing figure. Okay. So in the first entry, do you have any doubt? So what is the first entry? Say that along with me. Bank account debit, ESO outstanding account debit, 2 share capital, 2 securities premium. Okay, bank account debit, ESO outstanding account debit, 2 share capital, 2 securities premium, whereas securities premium will be your balancing figure. Is it clear, guys? Suppose, okay, you just can answer me and I'll see if it's clear. The next is if the option is lapsed. Suppose here what we'll do is, if suppose all the 5,000 options are lapsed. Okay, if all the 5,000 option, if all the 5,000 option, no employee exercised it. Okay, if all the 5,000, see, it may be different in different cases, because since here we are not solving the sum properly, so I'm taking easy cases. So if suppose all the 5,000 options are lapsed, in such case, how much will be the ESO outstanding that you have accumulated over the years? See, over the years you have accumulated it in credit side. That's why here when you're doing it's debit, and here also it's debit. Okay, that means you're canceling the account. Okay, here it will be 25,000, and this, where will you transfer it? You will transfer it to general reserve if it is lapsed. You will transfer it to general reserve account if it is lapsed. So whatever the extra ESO outstanding is, or whatever you have not used, suppose out of the 100 employees, only 90 employees exercise the option. 10 employees didn't exercise the option, means that 10 related to that 10 employees, employee compensation expense you would have created, right? So that remaining, whichever is unused, you will transfer it to general reserve. You will transfer it to general reserve. Okay. So to general reserve, you will do 25,000 rupees. I hope this is clear. Okay. So this is, so now until now we have discussed two types of journal entries. One is where through the vesting period, and then it is your through your exercise period. There is one final journal entry type which is left, where the case is your vesting period and exercise period is only 1 year. That means your vesting period is only 1 year. Okay. Your vesting period is, you don't have 2 to 3 years. In the same year itself, it will vest on you. Can you explain the lapse entry once again? So what? Okay. So suppose if all the 5,000 employees have not exercised the option, then in such case, what you will do, the ESOP outstanding which you have created over the years for 5,000 stock option, which is 25,000 rupees, which you have accumulated in this account for over 3 years, by crediting it, these 25,000, what will happen, since nobody has exercised it, that means it has been lapsed, you will transfer the 25,000 which has been accumulated over the years to general reserve account. You will transfer it to general reserve account. Okay, you will transfer it to general reserve account. Is this clear? If suppose out of this, what happens is, here the case was that there were 100 employees, each were given 50 shares. Okay, each of them were given 50 shares. That's why you got 5,000 as options. Now suppose 90 employees exercise the option. 10 employees, the option is lapsed. For 10 employees, the option is lapsed. That means they didn't exercise, or they did not exercise the option. Then in such case, what will happen for this 90 employees? You will do this entry: bank ESOP outstanding to share capital to share premium. For this 10 employees who did not exercise their options, you will create this lapsed entry. Okay. So why are we transferring it to C? What have happened is, over the years, in this ESOP outstanding account. Okay, just give me 1 second. I'll just explain to you. I'll just have water and explain. Just give me a second. Okay. Okay. Yes. Just okay. What was your doubt? Where was I? Okay. So what has happened here is, see, so what has happened is, over the years, you have created a liability of ESOP outstanding. You were going to use this liability if the option was exercised to give effect to the entry. Okay, okay. So what happens is that, see, in the books, this is your balance sheet. I'll explain this clearly itself. This is your balance sheet. Okay. In the balance sheet, what has happened? You know that after 3 years end, suppose all the employees are going to stay for 3 years and exercise this option, you know that you are going to issue your share capital at a price which is lower than the actual market price. Okay. So this is kind of a loss to you. Okay, I mean the expense to you or loss to you or whatever you say. Okay, so this is an example. Okay, so what you do is, in your general reserve account, you make a provision. Okay, just like a provision, you make a employee stock option outstanding account. You create employee stock option outstanding account. See, this is not general reserve, sorry, this is your reserves. In reserves and surplus, you, over the 3 years, you accumulate the amount which is for 25,000. What happens at the end of 3 years is that, either this 25,000 can get transferred into share capital, or this 25,000 will be of no use. If it is well and good, if it has been transferred to share capital, then no problem. One liability is cancelled and another liability is made. In case if this 25,000 has not been used and no employee has exercised this option, then whatever reserve you have created, that is waste only, right? So what you will do, then it will stay as a liability in your account. Okay, so in such case, what you will do is, you will transfer this 25,000 to general reserve by the end of all the years. Is it clear? Is it clear? I think Pragya was the one who asked. If you still have doubts, you can again ask me. I'll definitely not hesitate to answer it again. So this is why. Others, do you have any doubt in this? Do you want me to explain the general reserve thing once again? Why you transfer to general reserve? Whatever the unused balance of ESOP outstanding is, just remember, whatever the unused balance of ESOP outstanding you have to transfer it to general reserve. If it is used, then it will directly go to share capital because of the exercise entry that we have made here. Okay, done. So lapsed entry also have lapsed entry. I think more the sums you do, the more you will be able to understand. Okay, fine. So this was when so now till now we were discussing the entries. When you have two periods, you also have vesting period and you also have exercise period. I started by explaining something known as you have only one year or one period where the vesting period and the exercise period both are same. Okay, so suppose your vesting period is less than 1 year. Suppose your vesting period is less than 1 year. So in such case, what you will do? In such case, what you will do is that if the option is exercise, so here you will not have, here you will not be able to create something known as ESO outstanding and transfer it every year. So what you will happen, directly you will write ECE expense itself. Here the only difference is that when you exercise the option, here you wrote ESO outstanding account debit because so much years you have accumulated it. But now since there is no accumulation at all, you will directly write ECE account debit here in the exercise entry. Okay, in the exercise entry, you will directly write ECE and the same year itself, you will transfer it to PNL. ECE to PNL. So here what will happen when the option is lapsed? Here I have written no entry. I will also tell you the logic why there is no entry because I just explained you that if there is any unused balance, only you will have a lapsed entry because you will have to transfer it to general reserve account. But here since you don't have any unused balance itself, how will you transfer it to general reserve account? Why there will be any lapse entry? There will be no entry, right? Okay, you guys need to answer now. Why don't we have any unused balance? Because here also you will have few employees who are exercising the option. Here also you will have few employees who are not exercising the option or not exercising few options in them. So then in such case, lapsed entry should come, right? So why don't we have any lapsed entry or why don't we have any why don't we have any unused balance? Why don't we have any balance which is not used? Can someone answer me? Anybody who has understood the concept until now must be able to answer. If you're not able to answer, that means you haven't understood the concept. I want every single person to answer this because this is what is going to help me test you whether you have understood or not. Can everybody answer? Don't see others' answers, please. Believe in your answer. This is for 1 year, okay. But why is it that you don't have a lapsed entry? You don't have any accumulated expense. Okay, 3 people have answered. Visa Lakshmi, last concept I didn't get what you have told here. Okay, just 1 more minute to go and I just want to clear this concept and end this and then we can move on to sums. Can you please be fast in answering? We don't have all the time in the world. We need to complete a lot of concepts today. Wrong. Because there is no vesting period. I know there is no vesting period. Okay, so people who have answered there is no vesting period or it is only till 1 year, you guys have not actually understood the concept. For one last time, I'm going to clear it quickly. So listen to me, okay? See, what has happened is there were 2 cases in which you had more than 1 year of vesting period. And last case was less than 1 year or 1 year of vesting period. So what happens in such cases that when you have more than 1 year of vesting period, I told that you will have to, this 25,000 rupees of employee compensation expense, you have to distribute it over 3 years. While we were distributing it over the 3 years, we were simultaneously giving the journal entry that ECE to ESO outstanding. While we were giving this entry of ECE to ESO outstanding, here this ECE would go to P&L account. What is this ESO outstanding? This ESO outstanding is nothing but it is a kind of reserve only which you are accumulating over the 3 years. And one second, guys. Please mute yourself. One second. Okay, yes. So this ESO outstanding was a kind of reserve which you were accumulating over the 3 years of employee compensation expense, and by the end of 3 years, This ECE, either if the options were exercised, you will transfer it to share capital account or securities premium account as the case may be. And suppose if the options are not exercised, you will transfer it to general reserve account. Here, if it was less than 1 year, I didn't have the time to pass the entry. I didn't have the time to pass the entry of ECE to ESOP outstanding. Okay, so there was no reserve which was accumulated over the years. So if there was no reserve accumulated over the years, how will I transfer the ESOP outstanding to general reserve? There will be no point. Okay, I don't have anything accumulated to transfer to general reserve. So lapsed entry we passed because we had some unused balance in ESOP outstanding account and we didn't know what to do with that. So we transferred it to general reserve account. Here you don't have any accumulated balance at all. So there is no point in transferring anything to general reserve account. You cannot transfer anything to general reserve. That's why in case of lapsed entry, in case if the options are lapsed, you don't have anything accumulated for those lapsed options. Okay, so that's the reason you do not transfer it to general reserve accounts, and that's the reason you don't have any entry here. Is everybody clear?
So yes guys, we have come towards the end of the video. Hope you understood all the concepts well. If you still have any doubts, we'll cover that in the part 2 of this video, that is the sums video. You can definitely post your doubts down below. Yes guys, so if you like this video, please do like, share it with your friends and subscribe to the channel also, and please comment down your thoughts and views on this video. Thank you so much guys.